In the time when the baobab trees were young and the rivers still remembered their names, there lived a woman called Amaka in a village at the edge of the great forest. She was known throughout the land for her beautiful voice, which could make the birds fall silent and the wind pause to listen. Amaka had a daughter, Zuri, whose laughter was like water tumbling over stones. The child was the light of her mother's eyes, and Amaka would sing to her every night beneath the acacia tree that grew outside their hut. But death, they say, is jealous of joy. One dry season, when the earth cracked like old pottery and the sky withheld its tears, a sickness came to the village. It moved from hut to hut like smoke, taking the old and the young, the strong and the weak. Amaka held Zuri close and sang protective songs their ancestors had taught, songs older than memory itself. But the sickness was older still. On the seventh night of fever, as the moon hid its face in shame, Zuri's small hand grew cold in her mother's grasp. Amaka's scream shattered the darkness, and it is said that even death himself paused at the sound of such anguish. The village elders came to prepare the child for burial, but Amaka would not let them near. "She is only sleeping," she whispered, though Zuri's chest no longer rose and fell. "She will wake when I sing to her." For 3 days, Amaka sang. She sang until her voice cracked and bled. She sang until the village dogs howled in sympathy. She sang until the baobab trees bent their ancient heads to listen. But Zuri did not wake. On the 4th day, an old woman came to Amaka's hut. Her eyes were white with cataracts, but she saw more than most. "There is a way," she said, her voice like dry leaves. "In the heart of the forest, where the living dare not go, there is a place where the echoes of the dead can still be heard. If you call your daughter's name 3 times in that place, death may hear your love and take pity." "What must I give in return?" Amaka asked, for she knew that nothing comes without a price. The old woman's face grew grave. "You must give something of equal weight to what you wish to reclaim. A life for a life, a voice for a voice, a heart for a heart." Without hesitation, Amaka said, "Take my voice. What use is singing if I cannot sing to my child?" That night, with Zuri's small body wrapped in her best cloth and bound to her back, Amaka walked into the forest. The path was dark, lit only by the cold light of stars that seemed to watch her with pity. Strange sounds filled the air, whispers that were not quite words, footsteps that had no feet, laughter that held no joy. She walked for hours, perhaps days. Time moved differently in that place. Finally, she came to a clearing where the moonlight would not go. In the center stood a tree unlike any she had seen, its bark black as charred bone, its branches reaching down like grasping fingers. Beneath that tree was a pool of water that reflected no light. Amaka knelt beside the pool and untied her daughter from her back. She held the small body close one last time, breathing in the scent that was already fading. Then she opened her mouth to call Zuri's name. But before she could speak, a voice came from the darkness. Not a voice exactly, but the memory of all voices, the echo of every word ever spoken and lost. "Why do you disturb the silence of the dead, Amaka who sings?" "I have come for my daughter," Amaka said, her voice strong despite her trembling. "I offer my voice in exchange for her life." "Your voice?" the echo replied, and now it sounded like wind through a graveyard. "Your voice that brings joy to the living, that carries the songs of your ancestors, that will teach the next generation their names. You would give this away.
Without her.
Without her.
Without her.
Without her. I have no songs, Amaka whispered. The darkness seemed to consider this. Then it spoke again, and this time the voice was softer, sadder, like a mother remembering a lost child. 3 times you must call her name. If she answers, she may return. But know this, I will not take your voice as payment. I will take something more precious.
I will take your memory of her laughter.
Your memory of her laughter. Amaka's heart clenched like a fist. To forget Zuri's laughter would be to lose her twice, but to not try at all would be to lose her forever. I accept, she said. Amaka closed her eyes and called into the darkness. Zuri! The echo came back, but it was not her daughter's voice. It was the cry of every mother who had ever lost a child, a sound so full of grief that the trees wept sap like tears. Zuri, she called again, louder now. This time, the echo returned as the flutter of a small heart, as the grip of tiny fingers, as the weight of a baby first placed in her arms. Amaka felt these memories begin to slip away like water through cupped hands. Zuri! She cried a 3rd time, and her voice broke with love and loss and desperate hope. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, from across the dark pool, came a small voice. Mama? Amaka's eyes flew open. On the other side of the water stood Zuri, alive, her eyes bright with confusion. She looked exactly as she had before the sickness, healthy and whole. Mama, why are you crying? The child asked. Amaka tried to speak, but she realized she could not remember why she was crying. She could not remember the sound of this child's laughter, though she knew she had loved it once. She could not remember the songs she had sung, though she knew she had sung them every night. But she remembered that this child was hers. She remembered that she loved her more than breath itself. Come, my daughter, it is time to go home, Amaka said, reaching across the water. Zuri walked across the surface of the dark pool as if it were solid ground, and when she reached her mother, Amaka held her close. The child was warm, breathing, alive. When they returned to the village at dawn, the people marveled at the miracle. They asked Amaka how she had done it, what magic she had used, but Amaka could not explain. The memories of the forest were already fading, as all memories of that place must fade, or else the living would go mad. She knew only that she had been given a great gift, and that she had paid a great price. From that day forward, Amaka never sang again. When the village gathered for celebrations, when the harvest was brought in, when babies were born and weddings celebrated, Amaka remained silent. The people whispered that the forest had stolen her voice, and in a way, they were right. But sometimes, late at night, Zuri would wake to find her mother watching her sleep with an expression of profound longing, as if trying to remember something just beyond reach. And in those moments, Zuri would smile, and though Amaka could not remember the sound of her daughter's laughter, she knew that it was the most beautiful sound in the world. Years passed. Zuri grew into a woman, strong and bright, and she had children of her own. And when these children asked her grandmother to sing to them, Amaka would shake her head sadly. But Zuri would smile and say, "Let me tell you the song my mother sang for me." And she would sing the old songs, the ancestral songs, and her children would listen with wide eyes. And though Amaka could not remember teaching these songs to her daughter, could not remember the laughter that had once filled their hut, she would close her eyes and let the music wash over her. And for a moment, just a moment, she would feel the echo of something lost, a joy so profound it hurt, a love so deep that it could bargain with death himself and win. But echoes, like memories, are not the things themselves. They are only the lingering shadow of what was. And sometimes that is enough. The elders say that on quiet nights, if you listen carefully in the space between heartbeats, you can still hear Amaka's voice singing in the forest. Not the voice she gave away, but the voice of her choice, the mother who loved enough to forget so that her child might remember what it means to live. And they say that Death, who is often cruel but sometimes merciful, heard that song and wept.
The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe to Tales by the Gods for more exciting African folktales. Thank you.